This is the Real Talk Real Estate Investing Podcast. Today, we are joined by Darren Light. Darren Light is a mechanical engineer by trade. He realized that W-2 and the 401k just wasn't going to do it for him. He actually, a couple of years ago, was convinced by a friend to attend one of those guru seminars, and he started purchasing single-family homes and flipping and had some success with it. But after he was laid off by his corporate job from 12 years, he was working there for 12 years, he decided to cash in that 401k because he saw that multifamily was something a little bit different. It was more of a long-time wealth play than it was a transaction like single-family homes. And since October of 2018, he has become a general partner in over 103 doors, and as he was just telling me earlier, he has 52 units under contract. Darren, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, good morning, Clayton. Glad to be here.
Yeah, good morning. So that was kind of an overview. I'd love to kind of hear your telling of your how'd you get into it. Maybe give us a little deep dive of why you were flipping homes and you decided that multifamily would be a better path for you and your family.
Yeah, when I, as you referenced, basically got dragged into a guru seminar with a friend and eventual partner for a short period of time, I did see the value in real estate as a whole. And because of that specific education at the time, it was regarding single family homes of some type. So started purchasing single family rentals and flipping homes and was doing well. But then when I attended the very first Jake and Gino live event in Knoxville, an hour into the event, I realized that in order to create wealth quickly and generational wealth and not so much transactions, but building up equity and cash flow, the numbers made sense about multifamily, the scalability, the timing, the ability to get there faster as far as what your financial goals are.
Right.
And then just the overall Jake and Gino community, the genuineness that comes from them, from Jake and Gino on down. I made the decision then and there to sell all my single family homes. I just sold the last one 4 or 5 months ago, and continue flipping because flipping is still fun. It can provide you with capital, living expenses, what have you. And the market is still good for that, depending on where you are, and you have to know what you're doing. But then, yes, solely focused on multifamily. So now that we have, partners that are in the 103 units that we own currently. Right. And then it's taken us, our goal this year, I say our goal, one of my main partners and I, our goal was, let's get another 100 units. And while running a heavy rehab on a 62 unit, continue to do flips. We are close to having this 52 unit under contract. So, we are not going to hit that goal, but along the way, we've built incredible relationships, and that's what it's all about, to make stuff happen and help others be successful. If you do that, you're gonna help yourself. That's a lot longer answer than what you asked.
Hey, man, I love hearing that, kind of exploring us or showing us kind of how your brain worked. And I think that a lot of times, in terms of goal and goal achievement, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to hit a certain number, but half of it is, maybe even more than half of it, is becoming the person that can hit the 200. Even though you got the 52 unit under contract, you're almost there.
Right.
And so, let me ask you actually, because, it seems like you're starting to get a pretty decent portfolio. You're starting to build it up, and you want to get, I imagine, next time around over 200. What about multifamily? You keep referencing, you can make it happen quicker. A lot of people say, I'm comfortable with doing single family homes, and maybe I can do 1 or 2 or 3 a year, and they're not as difficult, and it's easier, because like multifamily is like really scary for me because it's big and I have to deal with brokers and I don't have any credibility. What would you say to someone like that?
Yes, you can be comfortable doing 2 or 3 to 5 single family homes a year. If you want to self-manage, if you want to self-rehab and do all that stuff, you have let's say you went and bought 5 single family homes this year. You've got to get, unless you're just paying cash, which most people don't have the ability to do, you're paying 20% down at least for a commercial loan with 5 to 5.5% interest. Even now for that type of asset, that's what you're going to pay. You've got 5 roofs, 5 plumbing systems, 5 separate pieces of property that you're paying a higher insurance premium on. You're paying higher taxes on. You're paying more to have a roof repaired or plumbing, whatever the case may be. Whereas you've got a 10-unit multifamily property, you've got all that under one roof. Your insurance rates drop, your maintenance costs drop, everything about that. Your loan is actually easier to obtain. We won't get into that in this call, but that's a separate one you can do. Everything about it, the scalability is bigger. And if you're buying, let's say you did buy 5 single family homes, that's just a transaction. And if you've got 2 units that are not rented for whatever reason, that's 2 mortgage payments you're paying. If you've got 2 units empty in a 10-unit building, your income that you're generating from those 8 other units are easily making your mortgage payment for you on that entire property. Easy. So there's another reason. And it's all about numbers. It's a numbers game. So yeah, if you're scared and that intimidates someone, they just want to get comfortable, then that person, honestly, they don't want to build generational wealth. That's not what they're in it for. That's why you have the mom and pops that are 70 and 80 years old. And while they may have made a decent living in their life, they have nothing to show for it now. Their properties have a ton of deferred maintenance. They're run down. Or they're the ones now that are selling that want twice as much as what their property is really worth. I don't want to be operating 5 to 10 to 15, 20 single family homes down 5 to 10 years down the road. I want to be on the beach somewhere pushing buttons and talking to the people that are running my company for me.
There you go.
And I'm adding value that way to those people as well.
Would you consider that maybe one of the biggest mistakes in terms of, from a newbie investor's standpoint, like not being able to see beyond? Because, you know, we live in a society that's really based on instant gratification. And if you get that, you know, that single family or 2 single families or whatever, a small multi, you get that kind of, oh, wow, good job, you did it. And you get the dopamine rush, but it might take you 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, as we'll see with this 62 unit. We'll dive into it to get the deal. You know what I mean? So it's that
is I call it a scarcity mindset. They're not in it for the long game. And if you're not in it for the long game, this is not a hobby. You know, it's a full-fledged business. And if you, depending on what part of the business you do, you know, if you integrate, you're in it full time. Anything you do is full time, right? As far as this goes. So, it's a limited mindset. It's unfortunately, when people get into real estate in general, it's like anything else in the world. The 80-20 principle definitely applies. There's only 20% of the people that get into it that are willing to put in the work daily, the process, the grind, to make it happen. You make a good point about there are people that continue to do flips all the time and single families because that transactional behavior gives them like a rush, you know, whereas we may have, dude, you could do 4 or 5 transactions and have 400 or 500 doors and you're set for life if you do it the right way, depending on what you're bringing to the table and all that. So you can't put a price tag on that versus, you know, single family homes in my opinion.
No, I'm totally there. So speaking about that, let's learn a little bit about kind of the process that you went through. I want to take a deep dive into that 62 unit. Based on our conversations earlier, it was quite a rehab job. Can you kind of walk us through how, number one, how you found it, number 2, kind of what you saw in it, and just kind of walk us through that whole process of finding it to putting it under.
I'll back up a little step further because I think this is pertinent to my experience and also that 62 unit. So 3 months into the Jake and Gino community, the academy, I had a 70 unit under contract in Johnson City, Tennessee. But the one thing that I had not done a really good job of is doing my due diligence in that secondary market, if you will, that specific market where that property was located. And not until I interviewed a prospective property manager and company that actually is our property manager today for the 62 unit did I realize that no matter what I do to reposition that property, people are not going to come to live there because of the history of that property, because of the low income area, socioeconomic area that surrounded that property. Not a bad area to the naked eye and where it was, but just the history and the things that were going on around it and that I didn't know, that you couldn't see on paper, right? So when you look up statistics for a city, you've got a broad spectrum, but you've got to narrow it down to specific areas of that city. And the only way you can do that generally is to go talk to people that know that. So I lost money in that deal. I decided to let it go from this after I had an hour conversation with this prospective property management owner and took a leap of faith and said, I'm going to trust this lady and let it go. Lost money. 3 months later, Gino put me in touch with someone else in the community that had this 62 unit deal under contract and was looking for partners. And when he put us together, it just snowballed from there. I brought maybe the majority of the partners don't remember, and he brought some others. We just kind of made it happen. I already had some relationships built up in the community. This particular property was under contract with someone else, and it fell out. The story goes that the person who had it under contract realized the rehab was going to be very extensive and backed out due to those reasons. So this was it was on LoopNet, when you could still find deals on LoopNet, and he had a backup offer in, and it fell out, and he got a call. So the purchase was 1.2. The rehab was $750,000.
Whoa.
We had to replace concrete decks that were failing that the city of Johnson City told the previous owner, hey, you've got to do something about this or we're going to fine you. We're going to, put you in code violation. They knew that we were in process of purchasing the property and were excited about us doing it because we had shared with them our vision of what we were going to do with it. So we replaced all the concrete decks with wooden decks, all the railing, and new steps. And rehab the interiors with new flooring, new cabinets, new fixtures, new plumbing fixtures, refurbished appliances, which are new for that C-class type of property. You can get a refurbished appliance for half the cost of a new one, and they look brand new. And I've done business with a company here out of Knoxville. I've never had an issue with buying anything from them. So we are right now trying to get building number 1 leased up. We have security deposits on hand for several. We had to fire a contractor due to code violations. We had to rehire another contractor, get a different permit to get the part of the deck done on building 1. We have learned so much in this one project. And, probably 3 or 4 months ago, I had told myself I'll never do another one like this. But knowing what I know now, I would do another one like this because of the value that we could add, and the pains and bumps and bruises that I've experienced along the way has just made me that much more experienced, know what to do the next time around, how to do it. And we didn't know. None of us had the experience. So let's go back to some of the early stages. We were going to finance this through a local bank in Johnson City. We were probably 3 weeks into to going along. Everything looked great. The loan officer that was working with us, kept on giving us positive news. Thankfully, the guy that brought the deal is a really good numbers guy, and he had a backup financing plan or lender, 1 or 2 lined up. And because at the end, the community bank would not do business with us due to our lack of experience. But it was sort of a last minute thing that occurred that we were really disappointed in. And kind of just slapped us in the face, to be honest. And so we went with a bridge loan and ended up sort of having to get a bridge loan due to the amount of the rehab. We're paying 9.9% interest.
Whoa.
And we got all of our, but actually, bridge loans, it's not bad because they're higher in some cases. But so we've been paying that. We're actually looking at it's almost a year, so we're looking at new debt currently, and or going to do an extension. We have all that lined up. Just have to see which way we're going to go.
Are you? Have you been cash flowing the whole time?
No.
Okay.
So here's the story. The original plan was to 3 buildings. Let's just say there's an average of 20 units per building. The original plan was to renovate, rehab 1 building at a time, get a new tenant base, do the next, and then do the last. We gave the first building 2 months notice. We gave the next building 4 months notice. The next building like 6 months notice. The plan was to take 2 months with the original contractor at it to do the outside and the inside. And that whole plan got blown out of the water because when the tenants from the first building started moving out, tenants from the other 2 buildings started moving out because they basically saw the writing on the wall, what was about to happen. Some of them owed rent, some of them didn't. The majority of them did. They didn't care. They're all month-to-month leases, so there was basically a mass exodus. And we're like, okay, this is where we are. I think the first 2 months,
Right.
2 to 3 months, we carried our debt service, maybe stuck a little money in the bank. But from that point forward, man, we've had to carry all that. And so, that's why we're in them. And we've just had contractor issues outside and inside, interiors. And we've gotten over that hump. The last 3 weeks have been the most progress we've made all at one time in the entire project.
Okay.
So we're close to having that first building leased up. And when we get that going, we're being in a lot better shape financially. And then we're going to do a different plan with the last 2 buildings as far as the way we're going to do it. And
right.
Speed up that rehab.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, you're making sense of this deal, though. You're saying, hey, I can see at the end. How are you communicating to your investors about this? How are you? Because obviously you said you had some limited partners. How do you, how can you as kind of a new investor, and you're very cool, calm, and collected. So how do you kind of make sense of this and communicate this to the investors? Obviously, yeah.
So this particular deal was actually a joint venture, not a syndication.
Oh, okay.
And there are 7 partners in this one. So because it's, and I'm not saying this would be the way is the way it would be with all joint ventures, but because it's a joint venture, we don't have limited partners. And so the way it's structured. And so we're very close. We communicate through Podio software. We hold all our documents there. We hold all our updates there. And so we do that. We have monthly calls, but now because of where we are, we communicate weekly to every 10 days. So we all have different hats, but we're all active. There's like 3 of us currently, myself not included, that are actually working on the debt side for new debt or the bridge extension. That's solely their focus, and all they do is report back to us what's going on. I'm boots on the ground. I manage the rehab and anything else that has to do with the property management side. So I make those updates, and one of my other main partners helps with that as well, remotely. And then we've got a couple. So everyone's got a different role.
Okay.
And as opposed to our second deal in Chattanooga, the 41 unit is a true syndication, and the main partner there, the manager, has his own investor portal that he's pays a monthly subscription to and can give updates, that way. We can all see reports and what's going on. So you have to do that. You got to set that up to be able to move forward, get your systems in place.
So get your systems in place when you're starting out as a new aspiring syndicator. You want to make sure that you're communicating. Sounds like you're communicating a lot. So everyone, there's no miscommunication here. Even though the project might not be flowing as you want it to, it's been moving forward because you guys are all still on the same team. You're all saying, hey, we see the vision and we want to continue to move forward. That's awesome.
This communication is one of the biggest. If you're going to be a true syndicator, and that's basically what you're going to do no matter what your position is with each property that you syndicate, communication is huge. Uh, just whether you establish monthly updates, weekly, even if you're doing a monthly call to do an update, you need to communicate weekly, if not more, especially at certain points of the project. You don't want to go syndicate and then just kind of go silent on what's going on and have your investors saying, "Hey, what's up with this?" That is not a good position to be in.
Yep. Okay. So we kind of got a feel for that 62. I'd love to jump into our lightning round really quickly here.
Okay.
Get some idea a little more about in your, because Darren, I is just listening to this. I don't know if I would be as cool, calm, and collected as you are, and your partners are with a deal like this. But you guys
I've had my moments. Yeah. So
Man,
let me throw this out there before we get to the lightning round.
Yeah.
The average investor would walk on this property and say, "There's no way." I think this might even intimidate. I'm not trying to toot a horn. It might even intimidate somebody like Jake and Gino. Now, Jake and Gino have a property in Knoxville I cannot think the name of, that they're actually in the middle of a heavy rehab. I've been in the units. It was just not quite to the level of what this is. But we know what this is going to do on paper. It's in a great neighborhood. We know what the value this is going to bring. Bottom line, we bought it for about $19,300 a door. When we're done, 90% occupied for 90 days, it's going to be worth about $70 a door. So if you think about today's climate, that's probably conservative, but we're going to go with 70 because 70 sounds incredible from 19.3, but we know that on paper. That's conservative. So, and then we're going to refi out. We're going to get all our money back and then some, and we're either going to go do the next one or do what we want to do with that money. So that's why you do it. And you're talking about a grind. Generally you tell your investors with a property like this, you're hoping to refi in 12 to 18 months. Well, ours is going to be around 18 months, maybe a little bit longer. But when that day happens, it's going to be a big party, and
that's going to have that party.
You will have proven that concept.
And when the first jump in is an ugly duckling, there's no other ugly ducklings. You can see them on. You're like, I know what I can do with that one.
Oh, most certainly. You've got an advantage over someone else looking at a property like that now. Anyway.
Yeah, that's a competitive, unless yeah. Awesome. So, all right, let's jump into the real talk, real estate lightning round. So first, what is your favorite real estate book?
Well, it's not necessarily a book geared towards real estate, but it's the book called The Go-Giver by Bob Berg. I've always lived by the golden rule: do unto others as you have them to do unto you, give back, and all that stuff, and had that mentality. But not until when I read that book, that took giving to an entirely different level. It has 5 laws and principles in it, written from a story perspective. I identify heavily with the character in the book called the Connector. I love bringing people together so that they can benefit one another in some way. And and for me, I'm not a huge reader, so I'm not the guy that reads 10 books a year or even has a goal of reading 10 books a year. I'm probably honestly reading 2 to 3. That's just me. I don't have to read books to be self-motivated or understand concepts. And I hear a lot of these things from other guys in the industry or ladies, and we'll get a tip here and there from a book they've read, or whatnot. But that book and it's a life book for me, not just business, but it relates to everything that I'm doing in my life.
Well, I along those same threads, I found that, when I drive down the road, now that my mindset, my reticular activating system is lighting up about real estate. I'm looking at different properties. I'm looking around. I'm thinking, I wonder what that development will do. I wonder what this will do. I wonder what, oh, wow, look at that apartment. I wonder what it looks like inside. Would that be a great value add deal? It's in a great location. And so I totally I hear that a lot of times there's knowledge that's profound, and profound knowledge is applicable to all aspects of our life. And
exactly,
real estate is just an expression of that,
Yeah, that's a great description. And so I do listen to a lot of podcasts, especially even now when I'm working out, I listen to podcasts and or on the road, because you get so much value from what other people have done and are doing, as opposed to what you get out of a book. A book is just a concept that you have to apply to whatever you're doing in your life. Don't get me wrong, you get a lot out of a lot of books. But the real life stuff comes from the people that have been there and done. So I also have a blessed opportunity that I'm doing a little bit of coaching for Jake and Gino as an accountability coach.
Oh yeah.
And I tell new students and new people want to get into this business that podcasts are great, videos are great. Everything that Jake and Gino has done that's online that you have access to, you will learn a ton. And as long as you retain it, that's great. But you will learn more when you sit down in front of someone that's been there and done it and is doing it. That you're going to retain that more, because that relationship helps you remember what they're telling you. And moving forward, that helps you. That I've found that to be my best experience. Because you can only take in so much via podcasts, videos, and books.
Right.
But when you sit down with a person, you're going to learn more. You know, the Jake and Gino event coming up in October 19th to 20th in Orlando. If this is going to be your first event, I would sit there and listen to every single speaker that comes across that stage and just take a boatload full of notes.
Right.
But in between, you're out networking. And when you go to your second event, whether it's their event or another one, that's when you mostly network with people. Because that's where you're going to create relationships where you learn and get opportunities to partner.
Right. And what I love about the multifamily space, now I'm not very familiar with other spaces in terms of real estate, but it always seems like, Darren, that the pie is getting bigger. It never seems like the pie is getting smaller because more people are learning about it. You know, there's not like this, oh, now you're part of the team, like we're not going to talk to anyone about it. I mean, like, I love that. I really love that about the people, the relationships, the meaningful relationships that I built just in the short time. Just in the Jake and Gino community, I would say that it's phenomenal. And I feel like a lot of these people, I like barely know them, but they have my best interest at heart.
Exactly. So if you speak to the Jake and Gino community exclusively, it starts at the top, starts at the very top. And they want people in the community that are like-minded with them. And so it's a giving attitude. The pie is huge. Anyone that tells you that it's not, or doesn't want to partner, or is not open to partnering, they're not going to make it. They're just not. So that's a great word on your part.
Yeah. And I also think that, Darren and I, this is for our listeners, Darren and I have had experience with people in the Jake and Gino community. I think a lot of it is the concept of we want to turn decades into days. We want to get that mentorship. That doesn't necessarily mean that the Jake and Gino community is the one for you. I think that a lot of times it's very important to get a mentor, someone that you look up to, but maybe someone else is a better fit for your personality, for what you resonate with. Maybe you're closer to them. You can see them more often. Right. We're just talking about our experience, and I think it's really valuable that having someone that has that experience that you really believe is guiding you along. It's incredible, and you build meaningful relationships because it does come from the top. So let's jump into the next question. What's kind of been your biggest mistake in real estate, and how have you learned from that?
Biggest mistake was not knowing the specific area of my market where I had the 70 unit under contract. So really exhaustive due diligence. You want to make sure you are doing exhaustive due diligence. Go wherever you want to invest. Property managers know the area. They know it better than anyone. They know it better than brokers. They know it better than lenders. Go sit down with a property manager, whether you're going to do business with them or not. Sit down in front of them and then make them think you're going to do business with them. They'll tell you all you want to know about a property. This is just another, I'll tell you, a golden nugget is we've gotten our best property leads from our current property manager. Hey, do you have any current owners that want to sell? Well, yeah, this guy does. Here's his phone number. Or I think this guy might be interested in selling. Call him anyway. You cannot put a price tag on that, and that's a relationship process as well. Because I guarantee you, property managers are doing business for specific owners. They can't stand the owners, but they're taking their money. And they'll tell you that. If they're honest, they'll tell you that. This is true. Oh, hey, yeah, go see if you can get this property because I'd rather you own it than the guy that currently owns it. And that's true. They might not tell you depending on how well, but yeah, sit down with a property manager, know your area, just due diligence, exhaustive due diligence. I don't care what Mark Millchap tells you. I don't care what Barcadia tells you. You need to be in that market. If you have to hop on a plane to get to that market, you should be doing it anyway to be networking with brokers and property managers there and owners to take down a property there. But you've got to know what that's like. And the only way you can do that is ask those people that are there doing it.
Okay. So do you have a quote that you like to live by?
Yeah, a quote that I like to live by. Not necessarily a quote per se. We all love, because we're in the Jake and Gino community, we love the make it happen quote.
Make it happen, baby.
But Inky Johnson is one of my favorite people that I do get inspired by. He, for those that don't know, he is a former University of Tennessee football player that in 2006, due to a play, was paralyzed from his right shoulder down. He almost died. There's a whole story. If you want to Google or YouTube Inky Johnson, he is now a motivational speaker. He will blow your socks off. He was a projected first-round NFL draft pick before his injury, and he will tell you that he has been able to affect more people's lives now than he would have ever had an opportunity to do in the NFL. So he's got a Facebook page, and so he has daily things that I will, pops up on your feed. And so every now and then, if I'm having a bad day or something, I'll just go YouTube an Inky speech or something like that. So I'm not necessarily one of those guys that need it, but occasionally you do.
For sure.
You need a little pumping up, and that's my go-to guy. So not really a quote per se.
Okay, but hey, that's helpful too. So along the same line, what's your real talk kind of best mindset tip? Maybe something to help you get through this 62 unit, anything like that.
Best mindset tip is you have to take care of yourself. You can't take care of your business. So I do that by working out every day, not every day, maybe 5 days a week. I'm in the gym or I'm running or doing both. That clears my mind. And I may get some decent ideas, about business and things during that time. But it's a way for me to clear my mind, way for me to take care of my body physically, way for me to feel good about myself, and then just go out and attack the day. I like starting it in the morning. I'm a morning person.
Right.
And so if you don't have your mindset that way physically and mentally, then you can't, affect your business the way that it needs to be.
Excellent. So before I ask my last question, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
You can email me, my first initial last name, dlight at crawfordinvestmentsllc.com. You can find me on my personal Facebook page. You can find me on East Tennessee Multifamily Meetup Facebook page. We also have a meetup.com page. We host a meetup every 2 weeks in Johnson City, Tennessee. And or my personal cell phone number, 865-310-6362. I text a lot. If I don't know if I don't have your number and you call and I don't answer, just text me and then I'll get back with you, because that happens a lot in this day and age. But yeah, feel free.
Awesome. So what makes you different as an investor, and how can our listeners benefit from maybe a specific thing that you do or that you feel that you have as your superpower?
I think it goes back to knowing what you're good at and not being afraid to express that so that you attract those people. And I mean, I'm good at that being that connector that I referred to earlier. the open mentality of, hey, how can I help you? And I don't have to get anything in return. I'm not even thinking about that. It's not even on my mind. You go around this earth one time. What are you doing to better other people? If it's just putting someone in touch by email, phone call, whatever. I think that, and it's, God, it's funny that you asked that specific question right now, because I'm experiencing something that's sort of a nirvana of partnerships right now. It's a rush. It is a rush to know that you have people wanting to do business with you, calling, emailing, or someone else is calling, emailing, saying, hey, this guy wants to invest in this deal, or this guy, or this girl, whatever. And just talking to so many people in this space that are doing things a little bit differently, but yet we're connecting, somehow. Or, hey, another example, there's a student that I've had started a relationship with that lives out of state, that has a totally different model for short-term rentals that I've been discussing, and just it's incredible, man. It's such it's a feeling of gratitude. And so don't be afraid to know what you're good at, and don't worry about your weaknesses, man. That's why you go get partners, man. If you suck at underwriting, go find someone that, I'm decent at underwriting, can tell if a deal maybe has wheels and might have potential, but I've got a partner that's great at it. I send it to him, and he embraces it because he knows I'm good at this, and he tells me I'm good at it. It's like, hey, go talk to that guy, man. You're good at that. Like, okay, no, yeah, we'll make it happen, and we'll have a relationship with that guy. Yeah. So don't be afraid to know what you're good at and do it, and tell people and share it.
That's great advice. And oftentimes, you hear from some people, hey, work on your weaknesses or work on your strengths.
Waste of time.
In this game, it seems like having that team mentality, connecting with people, knowing what you bring to the table. What do you bring to the table? And how can you find someone that has a skill set that complements it? And that's awesome. Wow. Darren, we got some serious gold nuggets. We got the what I really like to hear is that the property managers saved the day for you.
Huge.
They know your market. If you're having issues figuring out what a submarket looks like, give a call to a property manager, as Darren says. Give a call to someone and sit down and say, hey, I want to have a meaningful relationship with you, but first I want to hear your thoughts on this. And that's a way not only for you to even if you don't have any credibility, that's a way for you to build rapport, because you're saying, I trust you as an expert. I want to hear your thoughts on this, and we want to work with you. And if you come into it from the perspective of let's build a relationship and not me,
exactly.
I'm sure as Darren went into it, then you're going to get that. You're going to get that. Listen, you shouldn't go here because of the whole submarket that you don't know about. That's awesome. Yeah. That was a golden nugget.
Let me leave you with one more golden nugget in regard to property managers. When you're selecting the market and you're going to go there in person, you're going to do meetings with brokers and lenders, but you're also going to do meetings with property managers. As I have said, meet with at least 3 property managers in the area. And before you leave their office, you ask them, why should I do business with you when I invest in this market? Because that will also get them on the hook for giving you more information. That's the last one.
Why should I do business with you?
Why should I allow you to manage my properties?
Why should I allow you? Wow.
Allow you.
That's a good one, to manage my properties. I love it. Darren, thank you so very much for this morning. I'm sure a lot of people, I'm going to put a lot of these gold nuggets in the show notes. It's going to be gold-plated gold nuggets. They're going to be in a different font. It's so great. Darren, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, my friend.
All right, man. Anytime. Have a great day.